After years of anticipation and much hard work, the Coral Gables Museum will officially open to the public in October. It's a place where the city can celebrate its history and plan for its future. Made from solid coral rock with beautifully designed sculptures, this building was a symbol of pride in the community. It used to house those sworn to protect and serve the people, the city's police officers and firefighters.
The strength in the building, in a sense, represented the sense of security that one had, knowing that all of these men, police, firemen, judges, were there to keep the peace, to secure our life as we knew it. And in that sense, the architecture tells a beautiful story.
More than 70 years later, the Coral Gables Municipal Building is once again revered, but not for the people you'll find inside, but for the archives and artifacts it now preserves. Housed beyond its walls, you'll find the very essence of what makes Coral Gables the city it is. Finally, a place to display its history, learn about the city's early days, or just take in one of its many cultural offerings. But getting to this point was not easy. The Coral Gables Museum Board has been holding fundraising events like this one for years. The goal of these events was not only to raise money, but also to raise awareness and the community's sense of responsibility as stakeholders.
Coral Gables is a beautiful place, and not too many people really know what the history is. And there's so many beautiful buildings, and I think it's important for that to be part of a museum. And I think it also makes the residents here feel proud of their city.
With construction complete, the spirit of the municipal building was brought back to life. Natural lighting in the main lobby was once obstructed by partitions. Restored to its original look, the room is now flooded with natural light coming from the double arcade windows. Yellow paint concealed Cuban tile in the apparatus floor where the fire engines were housed. With the paint stripped and floors restored, the original beauty of the room is evident. The underused surface parking lot adjacent to the municipal building was transformed into a grand gallery space to house large exhibitions. It's now known as the Robert and Marion Fuel Gallery. The complex is tied together with the addition of several beautiful open spaces, the most prominent of which is the piazza in front of the new gallery.
The most rewarding was the piazza because, as an architect, you want to leave behind something that your children and their friends and your grandchildren and their friends will use and cherish over time, long after we're no longer here on this earth. And that's how great cities are built. That's how Coral Gables came to be the place we love, because people think outside of the time frame of their own life. And so, building a kind of living room for the citizenry, building this little piazza, for me was such a rewarding aspect of the program.
The museum will be more than just a place to view exhibits. It will be an ever-changing venue.
We have to remember that the role of any museum is perpetuity into the future. And so it just goes on forever and ever. We will collect objects, we will collect histories, and we will collect materials that are for future generations.
But no matter the evolution it undertakes through the years, its events, activities, and exhibitions will always have some connection to Coral Gables.
Coral Gables was art central in Miami in the 1930s. Really quite surprising, but Coral Gables was. And the woman who was the head of the arts for WPA and the federal government was the first chair of the art department at the University of Miami. So it's all was coming together at that time. So a lot of our early exhibitions are going to be about how the place got started.
Years from now, the Coral Gables Museum will come to symbolize the city's rich legacy of historic preservation, a promoter of its multicultural diversity, and hopefully instill pride in residents for their community.
Everyone's dream is that it's so successful that everybody takes ownership. For me, it's been a privilege, as for 23 years I've been a resident of the city. When I came back to the city, to be able to live here in Coral Gables and to be involved in its planning and its history, and to teach at the University of Miami, and to, you know, be a part of this amazing project to leave a little something behind. Yeah. So yes, I do have that sense of pride and ownership.
And I'm a resident, and I was born here in Coral Gables. I was born in Doctors Hospital when they had a department there. And I love this city.
I'm hoping that when people come to this museum that have had good memories of Coral Gables, it'll get them going again, and it'll say, wow, I remember that. And I hope that for people today that can learn from the history, I hope that it brings a special thing to them that they can learn about the history of Coral Gables. And then in the future, the folks that are coming behind us, they'll have the opportunity to look back and really see, you know, what the breadth and width of Coral Gables was all about.
And joining us now is Steven Klindt, Executive Director of the museum, and he's here to talk to us about the upcoming plans. Everyone's really excited. We've been building up the momentum all these months, and finally it's here. So tell me what's going to happen next month, 10-10-10.
Well, we're working feverishly. I'm in my casual clothes, and we're putting up exhibitions, cleaning the place, and just bringing in furniture and bringing in everything. You know, it's a brand new building, really, in a startup. So 10-10-10. You know, we picked that date a long time ago for lots of reasons. The most is that everybody who I meet on the street says 10-10-10. I'll be there. You know, they remember when it's going to be.
Absolutely.
And if you remember, the Olympics in China started on 8-8-8, and that's 10 in Chinese is the perfect number. So 10-10-10 is triple perfect, and so I'm using that as an omen. We're going to start at 10-10 in the morning and have the first, but then every hour at 10 after, we're going to have another sort of changing and introducing new people and cutting more ribbons. And we have a lot of people to thank, so we want to make sure that they all come. And it's going to last until 10-10 at night, and then we'll wrap it up, and we'll all be exhausted, but it'll be a lot of fun. And so one of the things we're going to be doing is we're inviting all community partners that we can contact. We've been inviting them to come and participate in our space, in our beautiful Fuel Gallery, and in our outdoor space. So people like Actors Playhouse, the Chamber, Arthur Murray Dance Studio, all the schools, Coral Gables Elementary. The list is huge of people who are going to come, have a booth, do a presentation on a kind of main stage. So we'll have a changing of music all day long, and different kinds of foods all day long, completely free, completely open to the entire public. Come and see what we're doing, and you know, as the day progresses, and I tell you, talking about luck, it's a bye day for the Dolphins. There's no Dolphins football game.
There's no excuse. Exactly.
No excuse. There's no football.
Head out.
Yep.
So a lot of the activities that you described are going to be happening outdoors, which is, you've got a great place for that plaza area.
Yes.
And I understand you're going to have a tent, and just to make it more comfortable for people, so you'll have a stage there as well. The actual museum will be open to the public as well. So what will we finally see inside?
Well, we will see the first exhibitions that will roll out, and they will be the exhibition will be called Creating the Dream, and it'll really hark back to when George Merrick and how he put Coral Gables together. I think we need to go back 70 plus years and take a look at that. So people say, oh, George Merrick, I know everything there is to know about George Merrick. And that's the beauty of museums, because I think people go to a museum thinking, I'm interested in this subject. But they leave saying, I hope, saying, boy, I learned a whole lot more about that subject. We're going to have an exhibition of WPA art, Works Progress Administration. Our building was a WPA 1930s designed building. And right around the corner was the headquarters for Miami's WPA Arts Project, which those folks later became the art department for University of Miami. So John Stewart, who's a professor at FIU and has written a book about the Federal Art Project in Miami, is curating an exhibition for us of paintings and drawings and prints by those artists, including George Merrick's youngest brother, Richard Merrick, who went on to be a professor of art at the university. So.
Is that going to be, do you have any idea what's going to be in the main Fuel Gallery, or is that going to be it?
No, the main Fuel Gallery for the rest of 2010 is going to be our event site. We are going to rotate different kinds of events, our own events, other people's events in that space to get through the holidays. And you know, this is like taking a drink out of a fire hose. You know, it just so much comes at one time. We really have to marshal our time. And so in January, we're going to be opening the Fuel Gallery exhibitions after the holidays.
All right. So any plans for just future events before we get into another subject? Any plans for future exhibitions? Do you have laid out already?
We have all kinds of plans, which we are keeping under wraps.
Yes.
You know, you don't want to
tease us.
You don't want to let everything out at once. You know, we have some really wonderful things. We are working on and have been for quite a while an exhibition about the Biltmore, because it's the Biltmore's 85th anniversary and the city's 86th next year. So we'd love to do a show about the Biltmore, because we feel that the Biltmore and the city of Coral Gables are really have parallel. As the times went up and the times went down, the Biltmore did too. So we have that, and we're opening up our fire station. Is going to have a gallery of some fire memorabilia, some things for kids to play with, try on coats and things. And you know, I always tell people, if you come back to the museum once a month, you'll find something brand new and surprising. We're going to have classes for kids. Our summer camp has been so successful. We're going to do weekend classes, and we're contemplating an after-school programs. We're working with Books and Books and the University of Miami about having programs at our place, music, and really a culture center. I really think we'll be a cultural center for downtown.
All right, so one thing that we got to clarify, which is a mystery, this rumor that's been going on for years and years, and we even reported it here, which is the fact that we had the beautiful bus that you see in front of the building.
Right.
Beautiful sculptures of firefighters and the people that they serve and protect on it. It's very iconic of the building, and so now we've always said that it's John Keller, which is a sculptor that was contracted by WPA.
Right.
Well, you've uncovered that it really was a woman, and she wasn't that much of a secret as we all thought that she was.
Not at all. And you know, it always was a puzzle to me how the head of the WPA Arts Project was a woman, and the chief painter for the WPA Arts Project was a woman, and why that another woman would think they would have to hide under a pseudonym to get that. And so actually the woman who did those sculptures, and they were done in clay and then made into concrete bus, and her name was Joan Teresa Keller. And so when her announcement when the bus were unveiled, there was actually a typo in the Miami Herald headline that said John Keller bus presented. And for years, people would say, well, I saw it in the Herald, and that's the way it was. Well, people didn't read the article, because the actual article talks about how Joan did this. And she was a phenomenon. She was 25 years old when she made those. And we have a photograph of her at the State Fair doing a sculpture demonstration, not of the heads, but of...
and it's one of the first times we get to see her in person and actually see this person who we all think was hiding under a pseudonym, couldn't be told, we couldn't find out who she was, and look how, and she's very pretty too. Yeah,
and right after, in the early 1940s, she moved to the Northeast, I believe, to Connecticut or Massachusetts. So she really was not back in Florida again. And those are actual Coral Gables firefighters who posed for those. And I think the one on the left side of the building, those are his family members that posed as the children in that. So,
very interesting.
And Arva Moore Parks has interviewed him, although he passed away a few years ago. So.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, thank you so much.
Okay.
We really look forward to this grand opening. We'll all be there, I'm sure. And just to reiterate, the Coral Gables Museum is going to have the grand opening October 10th, 2010. It starts at 10:10 a.m., runs all the way to 10:10 p.m., and a variety of activities happening on 10 after the hour. If you want any more information as the date gets closer, there's going to be more postings online, and you can go to coralgablesmuseum.org. And there's